Hello, it is Tuesday, June 8th, and this is Figuring It Out, where we explore kind of things that we're figuring out as parents, as a couple, as human beings, and then we kind of share it with you. So hopefully you can figure some stuff out by watching us do it. And I mean, let's be honest, we do this because I like to talk and people actually like to listen to Vanessa talk. So it works out. So let's start with what we're going to get into today is something that deals with relationships. And we've noticed this. We've been paying attention to this. This is not a new thing. We're getting ready for bed, and I'll make some sort of strange, insecure, or mean comment. Tends to happen almost every night.
Yes.
Or just generally things are off. The whole day is just going weird, and in that happening, one of us will make just an offhand comment or remark about something that's not nice or necessary at all.
And it's usually geared towards the other person.
Right. So why do we do this? Why do people treat the people they love poorly? Why are we mean to the people that we claim to love the most? So this is something that we've been thinking a lot about over the past week or two. And so we're going to get into that. But first, we'll talk about a couple things that we have figured out. Maybe things that could help you all. So what would you say? Something that you've figured out?
Something that I really like that we do and I think is beneficial for our family is we have family meetings. And we kind of go through like our routine. We typically do them like at a change of season. So right now we're entering into summer. Football is a big thing for us. So figuring out a summer routine and all that kind of stuff. But specifically, I really like that each person in our family has their own little category, and it's something that we want to really focus on and something that we want to work on.
It's like goal setting.
Yeah, it's like goal setting. But I like when we do it and we ask the kids, like, I'll say, Landon, what can I work on? How can I be a better mom for you? And I mean, that's a dangerous question because they're very honest, but it's also really helpful. So if you don't do that, I would recommend
That's something we've done for a while, and it works for us.
Yeah.
Something that I've been thinking a lot about and has become really important to me, and I noticed this past week because I led a memorial service for my aunt, who I wasn't particularly close with, but it brought this up, and just generally I think about this a lot, and it's best summarized with this quote: "The living live in the absence of all who were once here." And there's something important about recognizing that your life is dependent on a lot of lives who have come before you. Millions of decisions throughout history have led to your existence. And I think our culture tends to make us believe that we're sort of on our own and we create our own life. And so when somebody in your family dies, that's usually a time where you go, wow, I'm here because of this person. So something to consider. The living live in the absence of all who were once here. All right, so now a couple things that we have not figured out outside of this dog that is laying on our carpet right now. What did you have?
The big thing for us right now is Landon is having a hard time sleeping, or he's having a hard time falling asleep, I guess we should say.
Landon's 8.
He's 8, and he has always been our best sleeper out of the 3 kids. Last night he finally said that he was scared. He's scared that somebody's going to break into our house. But it's becoming like disruptive. Like he's not going to sleep until midnight, which means we are also not going to sleep until midnight. Mm-hmm. And it's frustrating, and we don't really know how. Like I want to make sure he feels safe and secure, but at the same time, like, go to sleep. We don't have the answer.
Something that I haven't figured out is actually from a question that somebody asked, which dealt with, so I'm a pastor, and that makes you a pastor's wife.
I hate when people
better known as...
No, don't even.
The parsonage princess.
If you ever call me that, I will not be your friend.
So the question was about, do we have to change our appearance or public image based on those roles? And it's that is something that we think about, we talk about occasionally, but not that much. And I would kind of push that question back to anybody. I don't know the answer to this. Should you change how you are in public? And this actually gets to the question that we brought up. That's the important thing for this episode, which is, why are we mean to the people we love? And that idea of, can we be ourselves in public, our full selves in public, deals with this question a little bit. So, how would you introduce this question? I don't think we are the only people who have wondered about this.
How would I introduce it, or how would
Yeah.
I explain why we do it?
However you want.
I think if we're relating it back to the question, I would say that you specifically do feel like maybe you do have to have a certain persona in public because people know you're a pastor. And so I think that's exhausting. But when you come home, you kind of you can let loose, you can be relaxed, you know that I love you regardless. And so I'm like your safe space.
Yeah, this happens with children too, and this came up this week when we were talking. So like, if your child says, "I hate you," that's a really hard thing to hear. But as a parent, you have to know the fact that they felt comfortable saying that, knowing that they can express a very raw emotion, trusting that it's not going to end the relationship, is a good thing. And I think we do this with the people that we're closest with as well. So yeah, in terms of that, what we don't do, or the way I would say it, is we only actually like the people that we just met. Because anytime you get to know people, you start to see all of the normal stuff about them. And if you don't have any kind of commitment within that, that means to walk away. So they're relating this back to the question that got asked. There are probably things that I have to edit publicly because there's people who aren't committed enough to me, and they shouldn't be. They're just acquaintances or friends that they don't care to see all of the depths of my life. So my dad lays tile. Mm-hmm. Good illustration here, I promise. Okay. If you ever see a tile job and you're with my dad, he will point out all of the inequities to it. And then as you get closer, you actually can start seeing what he's talking about. And there's something with when the more you know something and the closer you are, the more you're going to see the problems with it. And I think this happens within relationships. Why are we mean then, is the question. And I think part of that is we're able to express things that wouldn't be okay anywhere else.
Yes. Because
this person can see the depths of us and it's still okay. And I think within commitment, you can be honest about things, even if they're not true. Honest about emotions. And sometimes those are actually hurtful or insulting or problematic. But we do it because I think that we feel like that the other person's going to trust us. You can see the hideous parts of me, and it's still held together because we're committed. So I do think that's one reason. But I also think that that's also why we're mean to each other, in that because we know the depths of the other person, we know all the stuff that we don't like. Mm-hmm. So it's not only I feel safe that you can know me, then you get to know me and you go, wow, you really suck at that, or that's really annoying, or I wish you did this differently. And so because you know this other person, all of them, you know all the things that are inadequate or don't live up to expectations. And then when you get into a situation where your emotion's a little raw, you throw that out there as well. So I'd say the first thing is this: we feel safe with the people we love. So we're willing to say things that we might not ordinarily say. But then the other one would be, it's because we know the people we love the best. And so we're more willing to point out the things because we've actually seen them. There's two other ones that I think are really important. And the first one, I don't know which one to bring up first.
I'll say this. When I think I'm the meanest to you when I feel out of control with myself or out of control with the boys, or if I feel anxious about something, like you're the first person that I'm going to lash out on. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry.
But I think that deals with kind of everything we've talked about so far.
Yeah.
Is in some ways I should be honored that I'm the first person you lash out on, because you don't do that with anybody else. So that says something about the intimacy and the proximity that we have. At the same time, being antagonistic, and I think actually I have this written down too. Yeah, we use antagonism as a means of control, especially with people that we're close to. So in situations where we can't necessarily ask a person to do something because there's maybe a tension in the relationship or a weird situation going on, a way to try to get people to do the things that we want them to do is to be really mean to them and to use judgment to control. And I think honestly, a lot of the marriages that experience this problem, this is the one that's going on the most. And what has to happen is the person who's acting in that way really has to be aware that maybe there's a reason why they're doing it. Because this one can actually be really dangerous. Like relational bullying, mental emotional abuse, those are like real things that can happen. I have this written down, that confronting how they don't meet expectations to try to get them and compel them to make different decisions. Like we try to get our partners to change by being mean to them. And I'm not trying to, this happens all the time. Like you show up, you're around a couple long enough, you'll notice that they do this in some way. And sometimes that's even a positive intention. Like you think if your partner did this, it would be better for them, it would be healthier for them, it would make the household run better. And you might actually be right, but the means to making that happen not only is unhealthy, it's actually impossible. You can't, making somebody change through negative perception, if they do change, it's simply because they were manipulated or they were forced, so they didn't actually change. So it's not a good way to do it. But that is a reason why we're mean to each other, is we're trying to control them. That's not the most noble one though. And the one that I think is the most interesting is this one, because we expect too much from our partners. So this is like I think we set out not to use this language from the beginning, but like, you're my other half.
Oh yeah, no.
You're the one. That, that kind of Disney language.
Yes.
About, okay, so.
It makes me laugh because it just makes me laugh.
Why?
Because we never say that to each other, so it just sounds funny to me.
Well, but nobody did until like 100 years ago.
Sure.
That was a really new idea. It came with Romanticism, this modern idea of love, which is great. There's a lot of good parts to that, but we've created this idea that there's one other person that will fulfill you. And in so doing, we now created a situation where when they don't, that creates really negative experiences for the relationship. And I would say this is the one that people are the least aware of that they do. But I think in some way we believe our partners are supposed to be everything to us. And so there's a lot at stake when they fail in some way, because now that means the whole thing could be lost. This person's not perfect. And so like anytime they let us down, it's this whole idea of the relationship has expectations that maybe we shouldn't have had. And instead of just letting our partner be a normal human being with the same strange quirks and inequities that we all have, we hope that they're this perfect person. And so when that gets let down, sometimes we use insults or anger or just being mean as a way to deal with that realization. And we just shouldn't have that expectation in the first place, I don't think. So that's what I think about that. That's why you're mean to me.
You are the one at nighttime that is the worst. He drives me crazy.
You always have to bring up my nighttime routine.
Yes. And people still reference the water, hand washing cup, drinking cup. If you
Of
miss
all
that,
the things that we've said on here, the thing that has...
it comes up a lot.
Yep. It's ridiculous.
I was talking to, was it Brent maybe? Just recently. Maybe it was Matt. I don't remember.
Well, that's all that we have for that question. Hopefully in some way that was beneficial to you. But we're willing to stick around here for a little bit for anybody who is watching that wants to engage in some conversation. We will be posting this on YouTube and on Instagram TV, so the Becoming Human YouTube channel, Vanessa's account for Instagram. And if you have questions or comments that you want to continue the conversation with, you can feel free to bring those up to us. Otherwise, if you're here live, you can do it now, and we'll stick around for a little bit. And for those of you who are watching offline, we look forward to talking more with you next.